What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to Street Fab channel. I know it's been quite some time since I posted any videos and I apologize for that, but we are back now and I will try to do better at videotaping and all the things that we do work on. I know we left off some previous videos with the Genesis Hemi swap that I haven't really posted anything about, but that car's been out and driving around for quite some time now, and it will be back here at the shop sometime soon to finish some of the smaller things that were left off just because it was summertime and the customer wanted to drive it. But we'll come back and I promise you that we'll make a full breakdown video of everything that we have done. We're going to put it on the lift, go through inside, outside, the bottom side, basically give you guys everything and tell you everything that we have done to that car. But today's not about the Genesis, it is about a different car. We have a 2005 SRT4 that came in like a little while ago for a spun rod bearing in the motor, and the customer decided to go ahead and build the motor all the way. So here's the motor. It just recently came back. It's built by Victory Engine, local shop here in Ohio. So I am very happy the way it came out. They actually did a clean job. They went ahead and power coated per customer request. This aqua green or blue looks very nice. The whole motor is built, and we can put the breakdown of the parts list below so you guys can see it. So this is going to be basically a full build motor, and with a lot of supported mods along with a new turbo, new fuel system, fresh clutch, so on and so forth. Some parts are still not here. We're still waiting on them, such as turbo manifold, fuel pump still not here, new injectors, but we have enough right now to get the motor in, get the transmission bolted on. I did just get a new clutch for it, so we got an ACT clutch that this is a fresh, well, this is a used clutch, or the one that was installed before. The reason we cannot use this pressure plate is because we have a few chipped off corners, as you see right there and right there. So we're not going to run that. We went ahead and ordered a new plate that we're going to be running by ACT. We also got a big mount intercooler from AGP, and all our parts for this is coming from them. So we're still waiting on a lot of things. But today I would like to get the intercooler swapped out and get our clutch on. Bolt our transmission, still running the OEM transmission. We just gave her a little scrub to make it look a little cleaner. It was pretty oily before, and we were painting some of the brackets that will be going in the engine bay. Cleaned up some of these aluminum pieces so they all look nice. So the goal for today is to get all that assembled and get it installed and start kind of organizing the wire harness over here. I do want to clean it up a little bit once it goes in to make it look nice and pretty. So with all that being said, I'm going to stop rambling on and we're going to jump right into it. Yeah, you probably will have to hold on to that clutch. Alright guys, this is actually a different day now. As you see, I'm wearing different clothes, but when we started the project, we didn't have the throttle bearing for the transmission. We missed that part. So now it's here. and we're gonna start assembling this. I'm just gonna do a quick walkthrough on all the parts that we got before we get started. So we got the full HVP kit from these guys. So basically we got the turbo, the manifold, fuel return system, new pump, 1000cc injectors, Precision Wastegate, all the little hoses and clamps and whatever else we needed for it. We got Diablo Sport tuner that came in the kit, new sensors to support all that stuff, radium NGK plugs, their intercooler, rubber boots, basically the whole shebang to make this happen. So now that I think we've got all our parts in, we're gonna start assembling the transmission onto the engine and then start putting everything together. I'm not gonna bore you with all the little stuff, so we're just gonna probably play some time lapse, get that on, and then we'll stop as we come across something cool or important. So let's do it. Alright guys, so we got our transmission on. We upgraded our transmission mount to the poly, and we already had upgraded engine mounts that have been installed on the car previously. But anyway, just want to point out a few things before we go ahead and stamp the motor in. We just mocked up the turbo to make sure everything lines up everywhere. And one of the things I just want to point out, this coolant line that comes in a kit, this thing will require a little bit of bending for your application, or just period, because it doesn't really line up once you get it out of the box. So that's what we had to do, just give it a couple new bends, and it fits pretty good. We got a manifold on, and here's some other lines if you're looking to do this. So basically you'll replace your oil feed line with the one that's provided in the kit, or whatever, which one you're doing. It's going to go in OEM location. Here is the oil or water end. So this comes as a two-piece. There's one straight piece that comes in that you have to install, and then one that comes out of the turbo, and your oil drain. So in my opinion, this hose is a little too short. That comes in the kit. They could have give you another 6 inches just to, the way you can slide it all the way on, but it's all right. We'll make it work, or if it doesn't, we'll just put a new one on. So now that all this is done and mocked up, we're gonna go ahead and pull the turbo off and leave the manifold on, and then start putting this in the car. But definitely get all these mocked up before you put it in, because it's just too hard to do it on the back side by the firewall, especially this upper one. Oh, one more thing I forgot. Just want to compare the two turbos just so you guys have a better idea how small the OEM one is. So it's a pretty significant difference between both of them. Alright guys, so we got the engine and transmission all installed. She's bolted down, and it's ready to basically start putting all the fun stuff on, hooking everything up, that type of stuff. So it's kind of late in the day right now. We're getting ready to call it a night, but tomorrow when we come back, we're going to start putting our turbo on, intake manifold, start hooking up wire harnesses. One of the motor mounts we just noticed, like I said to you before, it was already upgraded to poly motor mounts, but the lower one, which is this guy, the boot is not the boot, but the bushing is ripped or deteriorated a little bit. So we're just gonna might as well go ahead and replace it now. Maybe we'll just do the upper one, just because, since we do have brand new ones. I think that's the route we're gonna go. All right, guys. So this is the next day for us. Same for you. Just want to touch base on where we left off yesterday. We got the motor installed, and right before we left, we did put this intercooler on, and just want to point out a few things. If you guys do order it, this intercooler actually, it's casted the same way as the OEM one, as you see right here, with these 4 years, 2 on each side. But whenever you go to put it up, this casting doesn't really match, or it doesn't reach far enough on both sides if you want to center it. So if you push it off to one side, the other side doesn't reach, or the bolts are not in the slot. So what we end up doing is just moving it over to the left side of the car and then re-drilling the holes on the other side. And as you can see right here, so these are the 2 OEM holes right here. We end up not using them. We made our own holes, and we end up putting riv nuts in there, so it's easier for removing and installing. You don't have to have the nuts on the back side. And the movement's very slightly, probably less than ½ inch, so it is still centered, and it looks a lot better. And you can see the significant difference between the 2 intercoolers, how much more bigger this one is. This one's actually pretty heavy compared to this OEM one, obviously because of the size, but these cast tanks do weigh a lot. So just want to point out this, something that keep in the back of your head. If you are doing it, you do have to re-drill 2 holes, because otherwise it won't line up. But for today, we're going to start getting this turbocharger installed, hopefully intake manifold and new injectors, getting some of this wiring sorted out. We do want to replace a lot of these hoses, make them look a lot nice clean and cleaner, and rewrap all the wire harness in the new loom so it looks neat. So right now I think our game plan is to get our AC compressor mounted back up along with the power steering, and start installing the turbo, getting all the drain lines hooked up that we figured out yesterday that one of them had to get bent to fit your application. So I think that'll be the game plan, is to get AC, power steering on, turbo, drain lines, hopefully the downpipe, and start sorting out all this wire harness. So, oh, and one more thing I want to say is we do have new motor mounts right over here. I know the bottom rubber bushing's a little deteriorated. This is the longer one. It goes on the bottom of the right side of the car. So we're going to replace it. And since we're already doing that one, we're not going to just leave this one in the box. We're most likely going to go ahead and replace it. And it looks a little bit nice and cleaner than the old one. And you can see right here, this bushing is also dry rotted. So might as well we'll have them. Why not? Alright, so I'm not going to bore you with the little stuff, but we're going to throw you back on time lapse and get this in. Alright guys, so I just want to stop and give you an update where we ended up at today. Most important thing is our turbo is in. Took a little bit to get it in. It's actually pretty large for this vehicle, or for this engine bay, I want to say. Look at the fitment. It's pretty close to the firewall right over there. So we are going to be putting a heat blanket on that side. But it is in, and it is all plumbed. We got the oil hooked up. At the bottom, I didn't videotape it, but the oil drain is on. There's that coolant, the blue line that you see, that's the coolant in, and here's the hard line for the coolant out. For this side, since this is very visible right here in the engine bay, I'm thinking we're going to change this to a black hose, just because this blue one does not fit everything else that's in here. We've also got our intake manifold installed. Power steering is on, all hooked up. AC compressor's on. Lines are all secured. We did change up our motor mounts, as you saw earlier, this one. And there's one at the bottom right over there. So that is all good. A couple other odds and ends. We did get our linkage for the transmission hooked up right down there. The rat little knobs that you see, there's one. Actually, let me take this off and show you. This is just sitting here. I ended up repainting this battery tray black just because it was rusty. But as you can tell, The linkages are all hooked up. We have our clutch line sitting right here, still needs to be hooked up. All this wire harness mass, oops, we'll move that light because you can probably see it shining right into the camera. All this wire harness mass and the vacuum lines will need to be cleaned up a little bit. A lot of it's been already modified by somebody else previously, and they did not do too good of a job. So I'll try to do my best to get all that organized and tucked away as much as possible. We did get our new thermostat installed on this. The downpipe is still not on. First of all, I want to test fit the wastegate with a dump tube before we're going to go ahead and 100% secure that. We also installed a half axle on the passenger side and axle on the driver's side. So this one's still laying on the ground right over here just because I want to put the alternator down there, and that's kind of on the way of it. It's just easier to do without it. And while we're doing that, we did repair, there's another part of the harness that goes in the engine bay. A lot of these wires were chewed up and broken. So we did some repairs to this wire harness, and this looks pretty dirty and gross. So we're gonna have to clean this up, maybe put a new loom on, make this cleaner, because this is like the injector stuff. This is everything that you see on the front side. So there's still a lot of work with that, and we still got to plumb the turbo, cold piping, hot piping. Basically, there's still plenty to do. I didn't want to drag this video on forever. This is probably going to be like a 2 or 3 part video. So for this part, this is going to be part 1. This is going to be it. I hope you guys enjoying this build. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy.